Welcome in to Rover Sports, and how is everybody doing tonight? We are here. It is Tuesday night. I got that right. Usually I'm always the Wednesday guy, but it is Tuesday, and what a bizarre week of NFL football. The Eagles played what seems like a week ago because it was on Thursday night. And a very interesting NFL week. I can't wait to have you guys in studio here. Well, you guys are in studio, but I also am excited to talk about the NFL picks that we've made. We can even go back and read our records of the NFL picks that we've made. And Bruce the Sports Doc and Al Zafiri in the house. And Bruce, how is your Tuesday going? And what would you like to discuss first on Rover Sports, the podcast?
Well, the Tuesday's going great. I want to talk about two teams in the NFC who have basically come back to life. I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, and I want to talk some about the New York Giants. And I also want to review the Cowboys game against the Saints. Mm-hmm. So, in looking at a very improbable, you recall that Steve Lewis and I somehow felt that the Eagles were going to beat the Packers. And when asked what's the basis, I just didn't have it. It was just a feel that Doug Peterson, when his back is against the wall, he somehow finds a way to overcome. And after laying a stinker against the Falcons and the Lions, he came back strong. And the Eagles played a great game against the Packers. And it was incredible to watch. And also you're a guy who covers not only the Eagles, but the New York Giants. Yeah. And we want to hear what's going on there. They have a guy named Daniel Jones, who, albeit with 2 interceptions, played a very service-like game. So let's talk about the Eagles first and then the Giants. Yeah. You saw the Packers game. What are your takeaways from the game? And we want to hear Mr. Zafiri's take on it.
Sure, but do you want to hear mine? Why don't I do mine while Al's getting the show
Al's
set?
Loading us all in. Also,
loading the horses in the gate.
We love calls. So we are live, 484-257-9592.
The call-in number, once again, and I'm challenging you guys that are listening right now to call into our show, discuss Eagle football, discuss the NFL. It is 484-257-9592. We're going to try to monitor your comments as well. So, about the Eagles, I was very impressed by Jordan Howard because this was something that we had no evidence would occur. The Eagles in Week 1 played against the Redskins. I don't believe they ran the ball over 100 yards in that game. Against the Falcons, a team that is totally tanked, the Eagles in the second half were relying on a Carson Wentz passing game. And against a stout Lions defense, Jordan Howard, I only believe, had 3 or 4 carries. So the fact that Jordan Howard had like 20 carries and the fact that he had like 187 yards and the Eagles dominated on the ground, that was a piece of data that we have never seen from this Eagles team in the year 2019. We said Doug Peterson got away from the run. We said that it was very unbalanced, that they were throwing the ball too much, and they pounded Green Bay running the football. You said Sayamalo wasn't playing that well. The Eagles' offensive line was flawless, and they dominated that game in the trenches running the ball, and it showed that Doug Peterson is a versatile coach, and it shows that he can make adjustments in a short week. And going to Lambeau Field without the cornerbacks that were mentioned, Ronald Darby got hurt, Sidney Jones hurt, Avonte Maddox, well, he played pretty much the whole game. But the Eagles were starting Rasul Douglas. Who was the other cornerback that was out there on the field? I'm just asking for a brief recall here before I continue.
There is, okay, so
it's hard to even remember.
It's Rasul, Jones, Maddox, and
Craig James at one point.
Craig James came in.
That sounds like the son of Rick James.
So right now they're down to 3 cornerbacks now.
Right.
They just signed Orlando Skandrick, age 32 from Dallas. He wasn't good enough to make the team, but right now he's got one thing going for him. He actually knows the defense. He knows Schwartz.
Right.
There won't be an adjustment. Avonte Maddox, you don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Obviously, he had a concussion. He had a neck strain. You don't know if he's going to be back for the Jets game. My sense is no, just because you haven't heard anything about it. Rasul Douglas is going to be there.
He's good.
And so basically it's just James. These are your 3 corners. It's James, Rasul Douglas, and Orlando Skandrick, and that's it.
Well, what's the Eagles? So you have the Jets with Sam Monoistic Darnold, the mono man. He's not going to be very good. Even when he's healthy, that Jets offense is absolutely atrocious. The line for this game is 14. It's a terrible franchise. Then you play the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills have Cole Beasley, John Brown, not the best wide receivers, and Josh Allen is not the most accurate quarterback.
To say the least.
So who do you?
He's a walking interception as of the last game we saw.
So I know you play the Bills. Where else are your cornerback depths going to really hurt you? Are there any elite quarterbacks coming up in the next couple of games?
Well, then you say next couple of games. Al, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What do
you know
thoughts?
the schedule, Al?
Well, the Vikings are after the Jets.
Oh, and Kirk Cousins. Are you afraid of that, dude?
I'm not afraid of Kirk Cousins at all.
That pass rush is awful. I mean, the Eagles' pass rush will kill.
Adam Thielen and all, they got to keep their eye on him a little bit. But other than that,
Kirk can't get the ball to him.
I'm not super worried about it. But
yeah.
Then you go into Dallas, and you do have like Amari Cooper. Was it? It's not Gallup.
Sure, Cooper. Even last year, Cooper.
Gallup.
Michael Gallup. Devin Smith. Witten.
And Zeke can catch passes
Jarwin.
too. So
I think that game, I have that circled as a loss.
And Cooper dominates the Eagles. He does.
I just think that going into Dallas, I watched that game, and we could talk a little bit about the game. Dak Prescott basically was running for his life. The New Orleans defense was pressuring him. But whenever he has a chance to set up and step into a throw, Dak has been incredibly accurate this year. And
I'll come back to that by saying when he's not being pressured, when he has all the time in the world. We saw this week. I mean, I feel they were exposed a little bit. Not being an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
That when the pressure is on them and the game isn't just listen. They played New York, Washington, and the Dolphins. 3 not great teams at all. I mean, New York's the same 2-2 as the Eagles, but let's be honest. If they play a good team, they're playing. I think they're playing the Vikings this weekend.
Yep.
No, the Cowboys are playing the. The Giants. The Giants. Yes.
The Cowboys are playing.
The Packers.
That sets up. You got 2 teams who went into this current week 3-0, now leaving 3-1.
Right.
Green Bay's still in Green Bay. I mean, there's a good chance that Green Bay could win this game.
Wait, is it in Dallas? It's in Dallas, though.
No, I thought it was in Dallas.
Can you check that?
Yeah, I'll check that for you.
But here's the thing that if you're a Cowboys fan on this feed, which is rare, Al, I look at that Green Bay defense that couldn't stop Jordan Howard, and if I'm Kellen Moore, the Cowboys should be able to run against this Green Bay defense. Doesn't that make it would make logical sense? Now, the NFL doesn't make sense.
Green Bay has a very good defense. It's a top-ranked defense.
But the Eagles and Jordan Howard smashed it. You'd think Ezekiel Elliott would be appropriate to run the football on
Listen,
on
as
Green
you
Bay.
know, from week to week, we got a phone call here.
Guess what? It's a Cowboys home game.
We've got a phone call. We've got a ton of great people on the live stream.
I think that those people are great.
Welcome
into Rover Sports, and how will we take your call today?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing great. Beautiful day in Philly town. What would you like to talk about tonight on Rover Sports?
First and foremost, I want to give a congratulations to my New York Giants for getting another dub with Danny Jones. Defense playing lights out, even though it was against a scrub team. But I'll tell you what, guys, it's a lot of confidence moving forward, especially against the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins is a trash can, and I think that we could take advantage of this team, man. What do you think, Spencer? Are we going to get another W or what?
What do you think, Spence?
I'm feeling fairly good about this game. I mean, losing Connolly definitely hurts. It hurts a good deal. He was a good linebacker. But the Giants, were playing confident. Jabril Peppers really owning that 21 jersey. Getting Landon Collins and Eric Flowers riled up was fantastic. Seeing all the Dwayne Haskins lovers leave that Sunday feeling very underwhelmed. The Giants have a lot of momentum, and Pat Shurmur knows Minnesota. He knows Mike Zimmer. He knows the people down there, or up there, I should say. So I really think, and it's Mike, right? You're Mike, right? That's your name?
Yeah, this is Mike.
It's Mikey, my buddy. I really think that the Giants have a wonderful chance to win this game against Minnesota. I think it's going to be very close. I am a little worried that like Phelan and Diggs, because in the NFL, you know, even though Kirk played poorly last week, things can change in a hurry.
Well, and
not for a long league.
Mike, I am worried about, you know, the Dalvin Cook is a very good player, and then Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith. We have no Connolly. Ogletree is hurt. Same with Tay Davis. The middle of the field is key, but man, if Marcus Golden can get pressure, what do you think? We got
Dexter Lawrence, man.
We got Big Dex. That's right. Dalvin Tomlinson. Those are linemen. We need a couple linebackers, but do you think that the Giants can win this game and put up some points, Mike?
Yeah, I absolutely do think so, Spence, because listen, guys, Wayne Gallman had a pretty good game, all right? And I know the Washington Redskins have a lot of problems, but they still have a respectable defense for the most part. And, he got a lot of confidence running the ball in that game, scoring the touchdowns. I know the fumble probably discouraged them a little bit, but he was getting a lot of love and support on that sideline, man. And that's good confidence for the kids moving forward. And I think that this team plays with a different swagger now, guys. And it's not all beat up the way, it wasn't all dumb and feeling stupid the way it did week 1 and week 2. Now with this new life with Jones, we're getting a lot of swagger. We're playing with a lot of heart and determination. And Minnesota Vikings, let's be for real, guys. I mean, they're a fraud team. You know, they're a very fraud team. They got a good running game, okay, but after that, you know what I'm saying? I think this is a team that we could jump on and we could take advantage of, man. So let's go Big Blue.
Well, thank you for the call. We appreciate it. And again, the Giants callers, they're first in. Again, 484-257-9592.
Read it slowly even. Try a slow read.
A slow read.
Slow.
484-257-9592. Give us a call. Let's hear from some Eagles callers.
Well, just so we can move on from the matchup. So right now, according to the NFL app, it's you got a 23rd ranked offense in the Vikings versus a 5 overall offense, which I still...
The Giants
are number 5, really?
That's the NFL.
Shows you how statistics can lie, right, Al?
Yeah, and then the defense of the 7th ranked defense of the Vikings versus the 25th
ranked I can explain.
Giants.
Yeah,
so
that's accurate.
It's going to be a yin to a yang.
That's accurate.
Yeah. But my point is Kirk Cousins is a broken clock. He can be right twice a day. So that means during the year he's going to have a couple good games, but when it comes down to it, he will ultimately... poop the
I'd say he's right about if the clock is 12 hours of the day, he's going to be right maybe 5 times in the day. But depending on the defense, Kirk Cousins, you know what, Al? This is a big picture question, or it's a big picture statement that I'm going to tell you right now.
Tell me.
Most quarterbacks in the NFL are broken clocks. There aren't quarterbacks that are right 10 or 11 times in the day. Let's look at the quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You have Mason Rudolph, Kyle Allen, Josh Allen. Matt Ryan looks like a broken clock. Cam Newton is hurt. He's
How
out.
about Gardner Minshew?
Jacoby Brissett, not good. Derek Carr. When you start looking to Joe Flacco, look around the NFL, Al.
He's just physically broken, Derek.
Al,
did you ever think the Broncos would go 0-4? That's a little bit surprising.
Actually,
that's a proud franchise.
I'm not trying to be. I actually kind of like Flacco. I never had a problem with him. I know when somebody. I feel like I know when somebody's done. And I just feel like he's just one of those guys who didn't know when he was done, and he's just trying to prove people wrong.
He is playing. The thing about the Broncos, Al, is that they've lost 2 games on game-winning kicks at home, so they could be 2-2. Their schedule. Let me tell you their schedule, Al, before you jump on Flacco, because he's actually been all right this season. It's not his fault. First game the Broncos played was at the Oakland Raiders, a very tough game, with the FAB game. Remember that game? Okay.
Yeah.
But so that was a very emotional, tough Monday night game. Then they go to then they have the Bears at home, right? A very good defense. They lose on a controversial roughing the passer play. So I'm reading you their schedule. And then they played the Packers away at Lambeau. So now they're 0-3. Now losing to the Jaguars when they had a 14-3 lead, inexcusable. I can't defend it.
No.
Can't defend
no,
it.
And,
but they started 0-3 because their schedule. Look at the Giants, though, Al. The Giants are 2-2, but their schedule has been so easy with the Redskins and the Buccaneers on the road. That's the point. That's the point.
Listen,
It's all about scheduling.
My ultimate goal is winning the championship,
The Super Bowl.
getting to the playoffs and getting a run and going to the championship. Mm-hmm. Do the Denver Broncos and Joe Flacco have that chance? Do you feel?
Well, Bradley Chubb got hurt. Well, their defense is overrated, Al. Their defense is not that good. They let Minshew light. And Leonard Fournette, he had 260 yards on them. And you know what it comes down to, Bruce? Vic Fangio is a defensive coordinator, an old stoogey Pittsburgh guy who's 62 years old. And
Sounds pretty young to me.
And he is not Bruce.
A young man. I think he needs more experience.
He's a defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. He can't control anybody.
There are people like that out there.
He's not a CEO. He stinks as a CEO, Bruce.
Absolutely. Let's go to the New York Jets. Obviously, you watch a lot of Jets. One of your best friends is a guy whose first name is Jets,
right.
Jet Central.
Right. When he was born in a jet.
He was born in a jet.
Gave
he was
water.
conceived in a jet.
Right.
Born in a jet.
The water came through.
I believe there was a midwife.
A tube, or what's a midwife?
We'll talk about that later. You must have missed that class in medical school. But
is a midwife not the same like mom, or is it two moms? Or
no,
what is
it's not. It's the second. No, we'll talk about that
Is
later.
it two wives or one wife?
It's a lady that helps deliver a baby outside of a hospital.
Okay, but men could do that too.
Be midwives?
Shout out, Glass.
We're really going far afield.
Shout out, Doc.
Believe it or not, I've got Lisa from Reading, who's now has a headache listening to you talk about midwives.
Well, you brought it up.
I know, but
it's a little fun. Comic relief.
It was. We like comic relief.
Talk about Lisa. Go ahead.
So Lisa asked a question. She says, here in Philly, we make a point of not watching the New York Jets at all. So we know nothing about
It's not just in Philly, okay? If people watch the New York Jets, they're going to be jumping off bridges. Our suicide rate will go up.
So I want to hear an in-depth scouting report on the New York Jets. Go right ahead.
Well, the scouting report of the New York Jets is pretty much, if you vomited on this table, that would be what the Jets look like this year.
Okay, that's very clear, very concise.
You have Adam Gase, who's one of the biggest, maybe just nasty people in the entire league. He's just a mean person. Nobody on the team likes him. They had a player in Jamal Adams that deleted every Jets thing he had in his social media account. He tried to scrub it. Their quarterback has had mono for a very long time. They have Greg Williams, who's Mr. Bountygate, Greg Williams, would you agree, out of the defensive coordinators, has about the worst temperament in the NFL?
Absolutely.
Would you say that Adam Gase has a terrible temperament?
From what I know, he's a bizarre guy. Adam Gase. Well, let's talk a little bit about the coach of the New York Jets. There's some really bizarre things and kind of interesting and fun things. We're here not only to inform, but also to entertain. So let's entertain by talking about things that Adam Gase does on a regular basis. Maybe I can throw a few out.
Good.
He only eats one type of food, but he eats his food every single day. He eats a large pepperoni pizza, is literally delivered to him every night. He also drinks about 4 24-ounce cups of coffee every day. So this guy is wired out.
He's a walking heart attack.
He's so type A about football. At the birth of his son, he basically went to his wife and said, right as the baby's delivered, the doctor said, would you like to cut the umbilical cord? He said, no, I'm good, and left the delivery room and immediately went to the quarterback room where he actually beat Peyton Manning to the quarterback room. And Peyton said, didn't you just deliver a kid? Didn't your wife just have a baby? And he said, no, I'm good. So this guy's a funny guy.
And all this craziness, does it make it worse that your team sucks on top of it?
It makes it a lot worse because if your team is great, all of a sudden you're legendary.
Well, at least you feel like it's warranted. Like, at least you can go to your wife and say, listen, I know I was only there for 5 seconds at the birth of our child, but yeah, we're winning. That's good, right? But now you have to probably hear her when he goes home going, oh, you missed the birth of your child, but don't worry, you're 0-4.
But do you remember Jay Ajayi? You remember this name, Jay Ajayi?
Yeah.
How can we forget that name?
Ajayi. Well, Adam Gase didn't get along with Ajayi, and that's the reason he traded Ajayi to the Eagles. Jarvis Landry, too, hated Adam Gase. So Adam Gase, it's not like his players even like him. He doesn't even talk to them. He's antisocial and doesn't even try to combat that. He stays in his room like a hermit. And this Jets team, it's the most dysfunctional franchise ever in the Redskins.
Chip Kelly-esque, wouldn't you? Like,
Very
How much
much.
film does he watch? It's kind of interesting. There's some great things about
He
James.
watches tons of film.
How many hours? He watches like 12 hours of film every day.
At least he'll crank
little-
up, but
little juice
he
in
does
there.
have a good taste in music, though. He does listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Thank you.
He listens to Pearl Jam, 90s grunge. He is cool in that respect. So when he's watching film, he's listening.
So something happened there.
So Bruce.
I believe somebody just hacked into us.
So when I look
That's
at
Russian
when I look
collusion
at the
its finest.
Jets, the Jets have a pretty good defense. It's off of a bye week. I think their defense is going to play well in this game.
Sure.
Sam Darnold, I believe if you get pressure on Darnold, you should be fine. If you get up in this game and have a lead, you should be okay.
The point that you brought that up is I don't consider this a win if the Eagles just win. This has to be a statement win because you won against Green Bay, a very good team in Green Bay on a short week. And they were down 10-0. I think this stat came up. He was like 59-0-1 when he was up 10 points.
Yeah,
or more.
correct.
The beginning of that game also
Correct,
was
at
a
Lambeau.
complete steamroll.
At Lambeau.
Do you remember? Obviously, you saw the game. The beginning of the Packers game was a complete steamroll job. Aaron Rodgers was 10 for 10. They were just steamrolling.
Steamroll,
And
baby.
Then they turned things around, and after halftime, the Eagles, by running the ball, they're finally listening to us with Jordan Howard leading the way, and Miles Sanders as an alternative back. It looks like we have a call.
And then after, let's talk about Green Bay Eagles.
We're going to talk. We have a call. Welcome into Rover Sports.
How you guys doing? The MLB playoffs start tonight, and I know you guys are in Philly. And Philly probably, you Philly fans are probably disappointed that you guys didn't make the playoffs.
That our team stinks?
The Braves,
Absolutely. Yes.
The Braves are looking like a team that can be good for a while. I personally feel Acuna is one of the best players in the MLB. And the Washington Nationals, they got a big game tonight. Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, two great pitchers. Anthony Rendon, I don't think he's going to win the NL MVP, but I think he's definitely in the conversation. He's definitely one of the best players in the NL right now. And I just wanted your guys' opinion. Where do you think the Philadelphia Phillies go from here? What should they do? Even the Mets, they look like a team that could be good for a while. They picked up a lot of pitching help and
so let me guess.
Good players like Pete Alonso and etc.
There's a guy, Paul Palmer, who's a Temple. We've got some great people on the stream tonight. Paul Palmer, just looking through the whole list, everybody. But getting back to it, number one, I think Ronald Acuna Jr. is one of the most exciting players in the league.
Huge
and watching him, is exciting. And also, looking at the Nats, Max Scherzer, I call him the Jewish one-eyed dog. He's got two different colored eyes, which is really cool.
Two different colored eyes.
Which is really...
He's Mad Max. He's one of the most athletic Jews you'll ever see. 6'2", by the way.
By the way, so I think he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
Which is
I
amazing.
agree with you. I think
No
the
doubt.
comeback, I'm going to get to the Phillies. I believe that right now the team and the fans have basically turned on Gabe Kapler. And whether it's fair or not, I think it's unlikely that they're going to roll him into the next season. I also think Reese Hopkins had an epically poor second half of the year, and I like him a lot as a person, and he tried everything. But looking at their failures, we look at McCutcheon getting hurt was really the beginning of the end. You look at McCutcheon as an older guy, used to be great for the Pirates, and this team just the only Bryce Harper was not disappointing. Aaron Nola, not disappointing. We look at Zach Eflin, finished off of a meaningless game, a meaningless 5-1 win against the woeful minor league Marlins. I am not optimistic that this Philly team is going to do any damage in the next few years. The farm system is entirely depleted. Matt Klentak is a analytics wizard who's basically shown an inability to choose starting pitchers. I am just not optimistic. We've got a real baseball guy, Al Zafiri. Your thoughts?
I agree with you on most of those things, and our caller here. The big thing is we there is nothing to look forward to in the farm system outside of Bohm. And that's about it. I mean, there's not really out there much to look at. Yes, the Braves look like they're poised to be good for a very long time. The skies.
Thank you for the call.
The The sky is the limit for them and their young talent. The Mets look like they have a lot of young talent. The Nats, I don't think they win. The Nats got a fraud fan base. They have like about 7 guys who actually like are big Nats fans, if you want to call them.
Yeah,
that.
they're all Canadians.
But my point is, no, I
welcome Jeff Weigel from Toronto, Canada.
Yeah, well, the Phillies, there's got to be a clean house, and I'm not just talking about the 3 big names they're talking about: Kapler, Clintack and McPhail. I'm talking about the scouting team, the people out there in the minor leagues. There is nothing to look forward for the Phillies, and you cannot continually buy a team.
I disagree with you, Al. I think you add a couple of pitchers to the staff. You have Rhys Hoskins, who's been, at least he's an all-right player. I think that you should have traded him when you had a lot of value. But Hoskins is an all-right player. Gene Segura, I think, is a big-time talent. I think the guy can hit the cover off the baseball. He's really athletic. You then look at the catcher position. Realmuto's probably the best catcher. He's a real bright spot. Bryce Harper's a great hitter.
There is some very bright spots.
How about Michael? Is Franco going to be back next year?
No, he should have been back this year.
He's not going to be back.
But you look at the center fielder, McCutcheon, is going to be back. Kingery is a beast. Adam Hazley. This is a good lineup, Al. I'm excited to watch this team. Last year, they barely missed the playoffs. If you get in a Joe Madden, you get in a nice manager that can coach these guys up. The second year of Bryce Harper, remember, this is just his first year. There's a lot to look forward to. This isn't like 4 years ago when the team was dog crap.
There's a comment by Al Thompson. We want to put a big plug in for Football Stories. Al Thompson's a wonderful guy, a good friend. He's got a wonderful show. In fact, he's right here at Delco Studios on Wednesday night.
I think it's at RDR Studios.
Yeah. RDR Studios. So Al Thompson's rooting for the Brewers tonight. He also mentions that he thinks it's sophomoric for the people to spray champagne all over themselves, to spray booze all over themselves.
Disagree.
What are your thoughts on that, Spence?
Whenever you get to have a champagne shower, I think it's always fun and appropriate. I don't get why it's not fun. I mean, whenever you clinch a division, these guys are playing the longest tenured sport. They play 162 games. And whenever you can win, and in the MLB playoffs, how many teams make the playoffs from each conference? Like only 4 teams. So that's a real accomplishment to make the playoffs.
Technically, you got your 2 wild cards because they fight it out. So there's one wild card that gets at least 1 game into the playoffs if you count that.
I'm never going to get on a team for not celebrating
I'm
win.
okay with
I love celebrating. I'm a fun guy. I'm a fun guy.
If you deserve a celebration, I'm okay with celebration. I know a lot of people.
It's not like it's after every win.
No, after 160-some games, it's a lot of champagne. But no, I get what you say. Like if the Phillies were cracking corks right now for kissing their sister at 81 and 81, I think I would be a little upset.
You know what? I really was upset by that. The fact that they were trying to create suspense to see if they'd be 1 game over 500. Everybody, all the fans checked out on this team, appropriately so. Luckily, you were watching the Eagles, and there's a lot to watch there. And even basketball talk, even hot stove Sixers talk is better than watching the Phillies over the last 2 months. And again, there's stuff
Bruce,
to talk about there.
Let's get back to Green Bay. We flirted.
Talk about the Green Bay game.
We've tried to tuck in the Green Bay game, but we haven't been able to do so.
Go right ahead.
Tried to tuck the baby in.
Tried to tuck the baby in, but the baby is like a grease pig. Won't be tucked in. Refuses to be tucked.
This defensive line actually played awesome. Brandon Graham was attacking off the edge. Fletcher Cox in the face of Aaron Rodgers. And the fact is that, Bruce, here's the thing why the Cowboys, I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay on this Eagles game.
Yeah, stay on this game.
Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yes.
How many you talk about how depleted the secondary was. How many throws did you see over 15 yards? Basically none. Aaron Rodgers made the most spectacular throw of the season when he hit Jimmy Graham. That was an amazing throw. Aaron Rodgers also is 35 years old. He had to scramble. He had to resort to scrambling to pick up first downs. That's how good the Eagles were in coverage, because when you rush 4 guys, you're able to put 7 people in the secondary. So
what you need on this team.
So the point is, the Green Bay Packers, with all their weapons, you talk about Marcus Valdez-Scantling, you talk about Devontae Adams, the Packers had no explosive plays. They had to nickel and dime you the entire field. They had to put together 15-play drives, and that's what Jim Schwartz did such a great job. Who cares that they gave up a lot of yards?
No,
the Packers were on the field the whole game.
I mean, Devontae Adams had almost 200 yards by the end of the second.
But he got most of them in the first quarter.
Yeah. He was injured.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is Devontae Adams injured his foot. That was a huge turning point in the game.
Yeah.
They miss Randall Cobb on that team. They miss just like comfortable like an old shoe. Randall Cobb was the Zach Ertz for Wentz.
Yeah.
And also, no running game. Terrible running game. The fact, this was the key of the game. 1st and 1 on the 1. And the Packers didn't run the ball one time. LaFleur chose to pass 4 times. And they weren't even good passing plays. And that is the thing. If you got Aaron Rodgers, he should be able to sneak for a yard. That was huge, and that was a turning point in the game. When the Eagles took over on downs at their own 1 and they were able to move the ball out, that to me, that was a turning point in the game. That's where the Eagles won the game. What do you think, Al?
Complete malpractice.
The fact that Devontae Adams went down and the fact that, LaFleur didn't run the – I mean, like you said, a quarterback sneak should have got enough out of it. But then again, usually Aaron Rodgers goes left or right. You never really see him go forward very often.
But this is one of those times. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
They have a fullback on their team named Vitale. Smash the fullback. You have 4 tries from the 1. That's awful play calling.
You can tell me why. Listen,
I think LaFleur is a bad coach. He's overmatched right now.
I think
they were just looking for anybody but McCarthy. Who did they hire? Anybody but McCarthy.
They wanted a yes man. They wanted somebody who was going to who Aaron Rodgers liked. He's Gabe Kapler. Think about it. He fits the scheme that everybody else wants. He's not in there putting his scheme together. He fits the scheme that the upper management and Aaron Rodgers wants because they're going to make Aaron Rodgers happy. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is well known for being kind of a unlikable guy.
It's like Tyrod Lue.
Yeah.
He was basically LeBron's choice. LeBron is the coach.
Man.
Aaron Rodgers is the one who's orchestrating the offense. And he looked real frustrated because the Eagles were hitting hard. This is my key to that game as well. To the first 3 games, the Eagles were playing soft as baby powder. I said that. They only had 2 turnovers in 3 games. But look at this. You saw Barnett come up with the big swipe. And you saw the turnover, and that last game with Craig James, a guy you'd never even heard of. The guy came in, tipped the ball up, Nigel Bradham, the interception. So when you get guys that come in and make heroic plays like that, that's how you win with turnovers.
And that's true. And you know what happened? Remember the Super Bowl when Marshawn Lynch had the ball on the 1-yard line? The Packers, I think, had 2 timeouts. You know how risky it is to throw the ball when you're in such a condensed space on the 3-yard line. And Aaron Rodgers decided the Packers called a pass play. They didn't even try to run it again. They called a slant play in the middle of the field where there were 4 Eagles defenders, and that ball was predictably intercepted. It was an easy interception, went right up in the air, interception, and that was, again, a dumb play call and a horrid decision by the Packers. So the Packers, they played really bad. I think the Packers are pretenders. When you look at who Green Bay played, they played Minnesota to start the year. They did play Chicago and play very well, but I don't know if Trubisky's a good quarterback.
I said this before we played them, the Eagles played.
I was very underwhelmed by that.
I said, you take Aaron Rodgers and maybe Devontae Adams off this team, Green Bay's mediocre at best.
They're Cincinnati.
They're mediocre is being very kind.
They're
Cincinnati. And Cincinnati is unwatchable again last night. Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They make the Steelers look like you got.
Yeah.
You know.
You look like Ben Roethlisberger.
You look like
Roethlisberger. You look like Tom Brady was Mason
Terry
Rudolph.
Bradshaw in Stallworth.
The Steel Curtain.
In Swan and all those people. So you know what? A lot of the people are hungering. A lot of people want to make money. They're hungering for the picks. We got 30 more minutes left.
Wow.
Let's do this. I love diving into our predictions. I love diving into it.
I love that. And so far, the headphones are on. The $40 still in the account right now.
Yeah, the $40 is in the bag for
Spencer $40. So, Al.
Here you go. I want to start it up.
Here's the thing.
Let's start it up.
But
start me up.
Before we start, I think it's fair. I want to get a running tally of our show. So is there any way we could see what our records were last week? Do you want
to go back and listen to it?
No, we're not going to do that now because that would be boring.
next
Listen,
week.
On
It's
on
7:30.
Facebook, I'll post the
I
tally
have a good
tonight.
idea. This is what you do.
Okay.
We do a tally for the entire year. We'll find out where we're at up to coming up next week, and whoever has the most wins or the best win-loss ratio at the end of the year,
All right.
we'll go.
I
from there.
was absolutely awful last week.
I think I was pretty bad last week too.
Because guess what? The underdogs are 39-20 so far in the NFL season.
All right, so here you go. So Thursday night, you got Rams at Seattle. Rams came off a tough loss against Tampa
They
Bay.
totally slept walk through this game. Jameis Winston.
That
was the most surprising.
At
Nobody
Seattle?
can sleep.
Rams at Seattle?
Nobody can sleep through any game. I don't care if the Eagles
NFL.
are playing the Jets.
The Packers can't. Packers can't sleep
Miami
through.
team.
I
No.
think the Packers looked at the Eagles and how they played the Lions, and they figured, let's just relax. Aaron Rodgers is out working on this golf game because they were definitely looking past the Eagles.
And
in
guess
my
what?
opinion.
Yes.
You got to give a lot of credit to Bruce Arians, though, and Byron Leftwich. I mean, Arians is having Winston playing at an all-time level. These old coaches that are getting out of the nursing home, like Mac Brown and Bruce
Reed over there.
Arians. Is Arians from the Retree?
Yeah, but Bowles.
Oh, Todd Bowles?
Yeah.
Well, that defense also gave up a ton of yards. But, yeah, let's keep
So
going.
also
Let's
give
go.
us
here
the
we go.
spreads.
It's-
Give us the spread as
I
you
don't have
mentioned the
the spread. I just
game.
have the
So
game.
this is
Well, let's-
Rams at Seattle.
Rams at
We're
Seattle.
gonna,
And how many
can
points-
you go to the spread, please?
I'll bring up the
Go
spread.
to the spread. I'm kind of demanding tonight.
Yes.
I sound like the housewife.
I don't
that we
have
alluded
I
to.
personally don't have. A lot of times I look at the crystal ball and I have a feeling like I knew somehow the Saints were going to beat the Cowboys. I couldn't know why. I knew the Eagles were going to beat the Packers. I don't have a feel for this Seattle team. Is kind of
Is it Rams
off
at
and on.
Seattle?
And Rams are
Yeah.
a real tough team to predict. So
At
far,
home.
Todd Gurley is not running. You know, whether he's hurt or not, he's not running. He's not experiencing rushing yards. And Gurley is just missing people. He looks so inaccurate. So before we talk about the spread,
You said Gurley is missing
no,
people.
I'm sorry. He's
of
missing
course
people
he's
too.
missing people.
I'm talking Goff.
Jared
so
Goff
Jared
is-
Goff
he
looks
shouldn't have-
really lost. He looks lost out there. So regardless of the spread, I'm picking Seattle at home. Whatever the point spread is, I'm just not sold on this Rams team. The offense looks lost. Cooper Kupp got tired in the last game. Gurley isn't running. And Goff is missing guys that are wide open. Just terrible.
I think the Rams and
What are
Sean
your
McVay are 4-0 versus the Seahawks. The Rams are a better franchise. Jared Goff still put up big numbers in the second half last week. The Rams were looking ahead. The only reason they played bad versus the Bucs is because the Rams were 3-0. They actually beat a very good Browns team. The Rams have also beaten the Saints this year. It was a one-game scenario last week. It was a fluke game. They go to Seattle, and I'm confident it's a one-point spread. I'm actually fairly confident that the Rams and Sean McVay, they're so good at bouncing back. They have a great Sean McVay has built a great franchise. I'm confident that the Rams are going to win the game.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Your thoughts, Al?
So the Rams in Seattle, Seattle's getting 1.5.
Yeah, I think the Rams win the game.
Okay.
Pretty confident.
And I'm taking
And it's a-
Seattle
it's a 49.
at home. I think the crowd, the 12th man for Seattle. Jared Goff, gets happy feet in a big game.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to hear anything there at all. Todd Gurley is injured. He's hurt. You have a lot of money there. His knee isn't right. And again, the Seattle is definitely on the downside. I'm not saying I would pick them all the time, but I think they're in. They're
But
not
they
just
showed
going to
some
bounce
flashes
back.
of- they played some good games at the beginning of the season so far, but then
I think Goff. I think they figured it out.
Yeah.
The Goff just looked terrible last week.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I'm going to pick the Seahawks overall. Being at home is as close as it is, especially with that 49 over under there. I that's like almost asking me to take the under on that.
Yeah,
So
I'm feeling under too.
yeah.
Right.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's getting 4.
This is a very tough game because Mason Rudolph played better. The Steelers' defense is really humming right now.
What I really think is, and again,
So it's a
my
Ravens
feeling
defense.
is, I think Lamar Jackson is comfortable in Pittsburgh. He's played enough games there. Pittsburgh, Mason Rudolph has a noodle arm. Everybody looks great against
Yeah,
the
you really can't
Bengals.
throw more than 5 yards.
I predict the Ravens
He's like
with a bounce back win. They are going to have a great defensive strategy. Harbaugh is going to be rushing. Lamar's going to throw like 4 interceptions. I'm sorry.
He is.
I'm sorry. Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Mason Rudolph is going to throw a lot of interceptions. I think Lamar is going to be a beast, and I think this is an easy pick. I put some substantial coin on the Ravens in this game.
I would
was good. By the way, I actually did well last week.
I bet the over-under is 40 in this game.
42.5.
I would take
pretty
it.
close.
I think it's going to be a very ugly game, but the Steelers' defense is actually terrific. They forced 5 turnovers against the 49ers. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been a great addition. They have the Watt brother, TJ Watt. I think they have a guy named Timmons on their defensive line. Their defensive line is going to get after Lamar Jackson, and 4 points is a lot of points. Again, you got to roll with the home dog. It's a live home dog. I think the Ravens can win. I just know the Steelers are going to cover. I think the Steelers are a pretty confident pick right here.
I'm going to go with the Ravens in this case. I believe that the Steelers are going to be smelling themselves a little bit too much. They beat up on a hapless, whatever you want to call them, Cincinnati Bengals. I think Ravens kind of got a little mud in their eye this week.
Ravens got punked, by the way. 260 yards on the ground. The Steelers have James Conner, and they also have that Samuel. Pittsburgh can run the roll.
Pittsburgh has a good defense. Don't get me wrong, and with Minkah Fitzpatrick added to the rest of the team. But I just don't think that they're going to be able to play that well against them. And
we have Dr. Steve Lewis, who's on the watch party. I'm inviting you to call in, please. 484-257-9592. We want to hear your breakdown on Jets Eagles. So we've got so many nice people. We've got about 50 people on the watch party right now, which is really cool. Really cool.
So the next is the Chicago Bears at Oakland Raiders. And they're getting...
No, it's actually in London, this game.
Oh, that's right. It's in London, which is always a tough
It's always crazy.
You never know. Some teams
we send our crap over to London.
But I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
It's a hard...
We've got Brexit going on over there.
They're getting... it's plus 4.5 in this game. The Raiders are the home team in this situation.
You mean the Oakland? How is Oakland home in London?
They're not even really Oakland. They're just the Raiders, because who knows where they're going to be playing. They're going to be playing in a parking lot next year in Vegas. Right.
So give us the spread of the game.
They're London's team.
Plus 4.5.
This is the ultimate for the kids at home. Stay away. I don't know what the heck is going to happen.
Stay away. Don't put any money on this.
If this was at home, if this was in the United States of America, playing in real Oakland,
in London,
I would take Chicago. I would take Chicago because I think the Raiders are just that bad.
No, in Oakland?
Yeah.
By the way, the Raiders just beat the Colts, though. They're 2-2.
Well, I think the Colts let their guard down. I don't think the Colts are as bad as
And by the way, I know one guy that will not be in the UK, and he might not even be allowed to leave this country.
Antonio Brown.
2 guys.
Perfect. He's one guy.
Vontez Perfect. Correct.
Perfect.
He's
in the witness protection program.
He's suspended for the rest of the year.
Did you see Antonio Brown's tweet when he says, "I need someone to proofread my article," and he spelled proof PROF because he's taking an English class. So he says, "Can someone proofread my article for my English class?"
Is anybody being fooled by AB? Is AB become this real academic guy? Because where is he? Central Michigan.
Central Michigan.
All of a sudden he's becoming. But
he'll be selling pharmaceuticals.
My feeling is this: I think that again, it's a hard game to pick.
What's the
I like what I saw. I like what I saw of the Bears. I did like what I see, even with Chase Daniel backing up a guy who's not going to be playing. Trubisky still has a rotator cuff. He has a separated shoulder, although will not require surgery. He won't be back for this game. I like the Bears D against Derek Carr in a weird foreign place.
It just matters which team prepares correctly. In
the thing about these London games,
what is the over/under?
The thing about the London game,
4.5.
But is it 40? What's the over/under? It has to be low. 39.
41.
Thing about that's weird about London is it's always a blowout.
Yeah.
It's always, so one team's going to blow out the other team. And I just said it's going to be the Bears are going to roll over the Raiders. That's just my gut.
I believe in this Oakland defense against Chase Daniel. Oakland beat the Colts, beat a good Colts team. Josh Jacobs is a good back. Oakland's going to win this game. I love going against you guys.
Is Oakland the only team that played in 2 different countries outside of America? Because they played in Mexico. Didn't they play in Mexico last year or the year before?
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
And they played in Canada for the preseason.
I think the league is trying to do everything it can to banish them from the United States of America.
Your next game is Jacksonville at Carolina. Carolina is minus 3.5.
A lot of people are going to say that this game is not an interesting or a fun game, but to me, this is one of my favorite games.
You know why? Because Gardner Minshew is in the game.
Minshew
If
mania.
Minshew's in the game, it's a fun game.
But also, Bruce, Kyle Allen, an undrafted quarterback from Houston who took over for Cam Newton. Have you ever seen this guy play before? He's 2-0 right now as a starting quarterback.
So break that game down a little bit. I don't know anything about him.
Kyle Allen's a pretty good quarterback. He's 2-0. He went to Houston and won. He also went to Arizona, so he's won 2 road games. This Carolina defense is playing really well. They shut down Deshaun Watson and a really good Texans passing attack. This game is going to go very low scoring. Again, you're going to see a lot of low scoring games.
Take the
under, and I like the Carolina Panthers and that defense at home. It's going to be a low scoring. It's going to be a 1-possession game, maybe late. I'm just telling you, I do like Kyle Allen, and I do like this Carolina Panther team to win it.
This is what I would say. I would say that most bettors don't know.
I love Gardner Minshew, but I'm going Kyle Allen.
I believe that Jacksonville is a really good home team, not a good away team. I think that when people see that Cam Newton is out, the average bettor, all the money is going to be on Jacksonville. And my sense is not knowing Kyle Allen from Eric Allen, or from Richie Allen.
Or from a guy walking down the street here.
Or from a guy walking down the street here in Ridley at the Burgundy Lounge.
Yeah.
Or from I was going to say something.
A towing man?
A tranny in the Burgundy Lounge.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gardner Minshew looks like Bernie from Weekend at the Bernie's post-mortem.
He looks like Ron Burgundy.
He looks like
after Ron Burgundy, was fired from the job and he grew his mustache. But
he also
Gardner
looks
Minshew,
like Brian Fantana.
He does. He does look like Brian Fantana. So the bottom line is,
do you know what his original name was supposed to be? Gardner, first original list.
Flint.
Phil Minshew.
Beowulf
Minshew.
Name him Beowulf.
No. So as much as I love Gardner Minshew, I just can't take the Jags in this game. I'm going to go with the Carolina.
I'm actually going to go opposite. I'm going to pick the Jags on this one.
And what's the spread?
Carolina is minus 3.5.
Oh boy, that's going to be.
And I accidentally skipped the other game because everybody else's brain probably would have done the same thing. Arizona at Cincinnati, snooze fest
unwatchable.
Of the week.
Arizona at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's minus 4.5.
Yeah.
You know what I always say? Stay away from betting games when there's 2 terrible teams. You have no idea.
You want to take over under
flip
on
a coin.
What?
Take a guess. The over under over.
42.
48.5.
So they're predicting.
I think the under looks great for me. You've got 2
offensive shootouts.
Andy Dalton. I mean,
I think
he might be healthier than Joe Flacco, but he's
the under is not safe.
You think the under is not safe?
Arizona's defense is absolutely like a high school defense.
It's going to just be a shootout.
And also, Kyler Murray is going to turn the ball over a lot.
That Dalton can score points on the Arizona defense?
Yes, he is.
Oh, my God.
Guess what?
My head's getting
sore.
The
Bengals are desperate. The Bengals are going to win this game pretty big. The Cardinals are a horrible team. They should be relegated. Cliff Kingsbury should actually be on The Bachelor. He's a terrible football coach. And Kyler Murray, he's too small to play in the NFL, Al. He is. I have to admit that Kyler Murray, this experiment is actually a huge failure. So
he's not going to be a Hall of Famer like you said
originally?
It's a failure.
Is this the next Doug Flutie, who is a great college player, but not a good pro player? He just can't see over the lineman.
That take is going to be a terrible take.
Well, I think the other one about Dallas's offensive coordinator, what's his name?
Kellen Moore?
Yeah.
You said he's going to be a definite Hall of Famer.
I say he's the next
He's going to win more. He's going to win more than Belichick.
You jinxed him.
You totally jinxed him.
Thank
you. Thank you for jinxing him. Yeah. So they had how many points? 9 points in that game?
Listen, they never. The Saints D was awesome. They never got the ball in that game.
Saints like a 29.
By the way,
but
the Cowboys' defense was terrible in that game. They allowed the Saints to have the ball 36 minutes, so Kellen didn't get his chances.
Sean White made a great comment that our friend Mike Leach, the most interesting coach in the world,
the Pirate,
is the guy who certainly groomed Gardner Minshew. So if you're like us, you love Mike Leach, you love Gardner Minshew. Am I rooting for Jacksonville? Yes. Am I betting on the game? No. Am I taking the Panthers? Yes.
I think that Kyler Murray take is bad. He's probably going to be out of the league in like a couple of years. He's too small and tiny. Except they have no offensive line, so Kyler Murray's throwing like 40 times a game. Cliff Kingsbury's putting him in a position to fail. This Cardinals team, Bruce, it's a terrible team. I think
it's really a bad team.
The Bengals are actually going to win this game.
When we look at Bengals, Cardinals, do you think Jets are the Jets on a better tier than the Bengals and the Cardinals? Do you think Jets are better?
The Jets are worse than the Bengals.
No.
Really?
No.
Yes.
You're telling me
Yes.
they're no.
By the way,
Do they play?
The Jets
Do they
have,
play, Joe?
you just
The
That
Jets
is the
have a
toilet
mid-
bowl.
hold
That
on.
is the absolute
you were
toilet bowl.
scorned from yesterday's Bengals.
Here's my no. The yesterday's Bengals.
you watch
How
that
about the
game?
first four? Let's talk about all four of those.
All right,
games.
let's talk about
They
all four.
Suck.
Bengals suck.
Hey, Al.
Here's my hot
By the way-
take: the Cincinnati Bengals suck.
So you know what I remember?
Al.
The last
Al.
decade.
You know what their thing
No.
is? Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah.
Bruce, let me tell you their scores of the first couple games. Okay,
Does that matter?
they played the Seahawks in Seattle. The Seahawks scored 21. They scored 20. They lost by 1 point to a good Seattle team.
That shows you that Seattle needed a preseason, which they didn't get.
And guess
Next
what?
game, please.
The 49ers beat the Bengals. The 49ers are good. And then the Bengals had a lead on Buffalo, 17-14 late in that game. So this was the only bad Bengals game was this past week.
You love playing.
Boy, was that a bad game? That game was terrible.
I'm getting paid off by the Bengals.
Spence,
I'm getting
you
paid
love
off.
playing horseshoes because almost doesn't count in the NFL. The W's and the L's, there's what add up in the end of the game.
He's a pro Bengals guy. I love that hot take.
You love the underdog. You're an underdog
Well,
guy.
I just
say.
think the Bengals roll.
Let's go to the next game.
Yeah, the Red Rifles.
Let's
suck.
flush that game.
Yeah, Dalton.
Oh, your
Where
next
it
game
belongs.
is Minnesota at New York for the Giants.
Yeah.
game. Giants are plus 4.5. I mean,
Go ahead, Bruce.
All right. I am not a believer in Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
He's also has the same affliction that Jared Goff has. He can't throw the ball at all.
In cold weather.
I believe that the Giants at home, they're lucky that they have this sequence of home games because the Giants are going to get run over like a Mack truck once they have to start playing some away games. But I think this game at home with Daniel Jones sets up, especially with the points. I think the Giants are going to win this game outright, and
Wow.
I'm not a huge Giants fan, to say the least.
Right.
But I believe in Daniel Jones. I believe in the defense.
Daniel
I think
Boone
Pat.
Jones.
I think Pat Shermer is getting a little swag. He's getting a little swag, and I think the Vikings with Zimmer is a terrible, overrated coach. I think he's terrible.
So are you thinking
Zimmer
there's a
is awesome.
possibility that the Eagles, Giants, and Dallas could have all the same record by the end of Week 5?
I do think it's possible.
Okay.
I do think it's possible. Now we
Well,
know
they wouldn't
you.
be- they wouldn't
So
be
the
ranked
question
the
is,
same.
could you be objective?
Yes.
Will you be objective? So if you really thought the Vikings were going to win, will you objectively say that?
No, I'm very objective.
Even though you love Daniel Jones.
I think the Giants are going to win the game now because I don't.
Outright?
I don't trust Kirk
I think
Cousins.
the Vikings will. I'll take the Vikings in this
The
one.
Giants
He's
defense.
taking the Vikings. He's giving the points, and he's taking the chalk. He's taking the
And by the way,
Vikings.
if the Giants lose this game, they play the Patriots on a Thursday night, so the season is over then. I think the Cowboys get to 4-1, Eagles 3-2, the Giants 3-2. I'll take the Giants.
We can kind of speed through a couple of the next ones because
Yes.
you got we already covered one of them, by the way. You got New England in Washington. Washington's getting plus 15.5.
well,
That's a lot of points, but
You can't
Washington's
make it
bad.
high enough.
But yeah,
I just
They're
think
bad.
Washington is so bad.
I'm gonna take the 15.5.
I'm taking the Patriots. I'm taking the Patriots.
To the 15.
The Patriots always win.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Hey,
How
the-
great is Dan Snyder? by
The
way?
worst. He's the worst.
It's the worst human being known to man.
Jay Gruden, he should be imprisoned and forced to coach this team. Like
He
he's-
is. He
no,
is.
He,
He
should,
is essentially.
He shouldn't be fired. Like, how long can he stay on? And I want them to keep playing ping pong balls. Like, I want them to put Haskins in, take Haskins out, Case Keenum in. How about Colt McCoy? He's getting healthy. Oh no, Colt McCoy.
Here's the thing: is the Redskins D is terrible. You know, Haskins is going to have growing pains. Again, the Patriots defense.
Is
I saw what
amazing.
they did against
There's
the Bills
zero
last
confidence.
week. By the way, I saw the
They
Patriots
have-
defense. They are really.
They haven't given up a
improved.
touchdown in a month.
The Patriots
In
are
a
a
month.
really improved team. They're going to chew through the Redskins. And Belichick, he loves running it up. He doesn't care. They're going to win 64-0. give away as many points as you want to the
I heard
Redskins.
Dan Snyder took the Patriots for 15.
You know what? I think that's an easy one. 15.5.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots
So
will
anytime
be
you're going
up.
to see 15.5 and you're like, yeah, I'll take it.
And guess
By the
what?
way, I believe the Patriots will be up 20-0 at half.
And that stadium will maybe have 10 Redskins fans in it.
That stadium will be empty
It will
by
be all
the second
Patriots
half. And you know
fans.
what? I don't blame the Redskins. They're a proud franchise with a terrible team.
Well, the next one we already talked about, Jets at Philly. They're getting, Philly's.
We didn't get to. We're going to be choosing that.
We'll wait
I'll
till
take.
the-
I'll take. Well, okay.
We'll wait till the end. That brings us to Atlanta at Houston. Once again, I think Atlanta is a fraudulent team, but Houston is that much better.
How much does Atlanta get in that game?
Is it at Houston?
Houston's -5, so 5-point spread,
Atlanta. Matt Ryan is playing awful football,
and has been since he lost in the Super Bowl.
Dan Quinn. I think Matt Ryan might be playing his last few years as a starter. He's not a good
youngster.
He's not a good quarterback anymore. He can't move in the pocket. He doesn't adapt to the modern NFL. Dan Quinn is he
I think he's on the hot seat.
He had a good couple of
He's on the hot
years.
seat.
I'm going on a hunch here.
I think Dan Quinn's getting fired in the Texans win.
I'm taking the Falcons to this game, and the reason is every dog has its day. This is one of the games they could win. And the NFL's crazy. That's why you lost last week.
Bizarre.
I just think you can't figure it out. But it's a not for long league. I don't have any reason for it. But I did well last week because I went on a gut feel. I believe
Your
that the
hunch is
Falcons
magic.
take the Falcons in this game.
I love that.
And there's no basis for it.
I love that reasoning. It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's logical. It's
I'm going to
anti.
stick by my fact that
Very
the
emotional.
Falcons are not as good as they think they are, and I'm going to go with Houston Texans.
Understandable.
I'm taking the Texans here.
Bills at Tennessee. Tennessee's getting only -2.5, which I guess you're not expecting a shootout here, but
It's a hard one to pick. I
I
think this game is a tough one to
It's
pick.
not hard to
the
pick
points
at
on
all.
this is 38.
You don't think it's hard to pick?
This pick is this is my easiest lock of the week.
Okay,
This
well
is the Spencer G. lock of the week.
I don't want him to bias us.
Okay.
So Al, I'm going to put you in the first hot seat.
Bills. I mean, I kind of like the Titans' defense. I think they have a good defense too. I don't know. Mariota's just very hot and cold anymore.
You're not.
I'm not sold on him. I'm going to the Bills.
I think you might not even have the right information on this game.
Why?
I don't want to bias you though. I'll wait to give my opinion.
Well,
that means he's taking the opposite side.
Al, when I give you this piece of information, you might change your pick.
Okay.
But go ahead, Bruce. I'm holding a magic.
I
piece
think
here.
that Tennessee is riding a wave of momentum at home. Mariota is riding a wave. The Bills are. Josh Allen is terrible. He might even be hurt. Matt Barkley may be starting this game.
Oh yeah,
I think.
forgot about that. That's your piece of information.
So I think that is a piece of information.
Matt Barkley is starting this game.
Okay, so
I'm still
in
gonna
that
take the Bills.
instance,
I'm still
he's
taking the Bills.
Okay, I'm taking the Titans in this game personally for the obvious reasons. I know you have a lot to say.
I'm
Go ahead
taking
with
the
it.
Tennessee Titans as well. It's my lock of the week because Matt Barkley is absolutely atrocious. The Bills just played a very emotional game last week against the Patriots. They're crashing down right now. Their defense is not going to be as flawless against the Titans and Derrick Henry. Mariota looked really good last week against the Falcons. A.J. Brown had 2 long touchdowns. Mariota and this Titans team is 2-2, and they're tied for first right now in the AFC South at home. The Buffalo Bills are not a consistent franchise.
No,
they're
that's
not
true.
able to string wins together. They always choke games when they're supposed to win, and that's why I think.
I agree with everything you
if
just said,
Josh
though.
Allen was playing, the Bills would win because I think Allen is a good quarterback. He made a few mistakes, but he's a very talented player. But with Matt Barkley, he will be awful in this game, and the Titans will win.
I agree with mostly everything you said.
Yeah.
The Bills will choke ultimately. They'll be 8-8 at best by the end of it. Maybe sneak it.
But you think they're going to win this particular game?
They won't choke yet. They're choking maybe another week,
I
maybe
don't,
2.
But Al, they're playing the Dolphins after, so then they're 5-1. And didn't you say the Bills will make the playoffs, Al?
I think the Bills can make the
So
playoffs.
stick by your guns.
I'm saying they will barely make. I said it. They will be 8-8, maybe 9-7. They will sneak into the playoffs.
But remember,
The AFC
you're with
is
the
They got the
Jets.
Dolphins.
The
They have
AFC
2
is
Dolphins games.
And they got,
true.
when you play the Jets and the Dolphins, you're going to get a wild card. You're going to make the playoffs, right?
But
For the Bills?
guess what?
Wild
I
card.
believe that Buffalo will lose this game, But the Bills will be a wild card. I agree with you on that.
Okay.
Denver at LA Chargers. LA getting negative
two
6,
teams are
-6.
really hard
To predict.
Yeah.
Denver has been
I'm just
terrible.
taking the Chargers.
They're going at LA. How what's Denver
6.5.
getting?
This is a brutal game. I'm taking the Broncos to cover, though. That's a lot of points. The Chargers stink.
I really don't like either team.
43.5 is the point.
It's rare when I say this. I'm just avoiding the game. I don't have any feel for the game.
You can't. You're contractually obligated.
Okay, contractually obligated
to spit.
Okay,
Spit.
I'm going to take, for no apparent reason, I'm just going to take the Chargers because you make me pick somebody.
All right, here's your next one. Green Bay at Dallas.
The reason I picked the Chargers is because the quarterback has 10 kids.
Okay, he needs to feed them kids.
He needs to feed them kids.
His sidearm throwing, 27 kid having
10
Phillip
kids.
Rivers.
If anybody's Phillip Rivers with 10 kids, so
I kind of wish I had that many kids because then I could worry about their lives, and not,
you do
not,
great
not
with
worry,
that.
not worry
you,
about my own
you
life.
can't even worry about your own life.
I've ever heard in my life.
Can you imagine what your car would look like with 10 kids in it? It already looks like the bottom
Looks
of
like you have 7.
it looks like
Be a minivan.
I've seen cleaner trash compactors in your car. Imagine with 10 kids. But let's go to the next
Got
game.
3 more games. Got to run through these because we're getting late here.
10 kids.
Green Bay at Dallas. Dallas is getting -3.5. It's 47 points on this one. I'll simply just going to go Green Bay because they're both 3-1. They both have been embarrassed last week by 2 teams, but ultimately Dallas doesn't play as well at home as most home teams do. So I'm going to give a little bit to Green Bay. I'll take Aaron Rodgers over Dak Prescott any day of the week.
Okay, I'm predicting not with my heart but with my head.
Yeah.
Cowboys are going to have a bounce back win. Dak's playing at home. Rodgers is not a great away player. I think this is one of my locks of the week. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Taking the Cowboys as well. Ezekiel Elliott's going to run wild. It's the Kellen Moore revenge game. Chris Richard. The Cowboys were feeling themselves before this Saints game. They were overconfident with Teddy Bridgewater. This defense and this home crowd's going to get into the game. I think that the Packers, we talked about LaFleur. They're kind of a fraudulent team. So even though Aaron Rodgers at Dallas, he's been their demon. Remember to throw up the sideline, the cook to win that playoff game. Aaron Rodgers has dominated the Cowboys in every game he plays, but I'm going to take the Cowboys in this spot.
All right. Colts at KC.
This is the Sunday night game.
That's it's 10.5. It's Kansas City's -10.5.
That is huge number.
Okay, my feeling is that Kansas City, Mahomes he's an alien. He's that good. He's playing at home in Arrowhead. Huge home crowd advantage. It's a national game. Mahomes loves the spotlight.
This is a trick
Now,
number because of that
Indianapolis has played remarkably well considering all the adversity, but I think it comes crashing down. Give the points. The Chiefs are going to roll. You can turn the game off at halftime and go to sleep. It's all Chiefs. That's my pick. Spence.
Colts are a proud franchise. I even think the Colts have a chance to win. I'm not going to pick them, but I think it's going to be a very close game. Actually,
So you're not taking that 10.5.
Definitely not. I
Yeah,
don't know.
10.5,
The 10.5's weird.
You know
though.
why?
It's a weird number.
It's because the way because Lions put up a decent. People are still not selling the Lions or anything, and I think the Chiefs are kind of looking past the Lions a little bit, and they're thinking. I'm thinking it's because of that game, because it was a close game, came to the last 20 seconds. Ultimately, I think that's why.
Well, why is the line so high? I would have thought this line would have been 8 points.
Because people love the Chiefs.
The Colts also fell a little from grace this week too.
With the Raiders game?
That's a lot of points. So I'm saying because of the points, I don't love the game as
still
much as
taking
I
the
did.
Chiefs.
I'm still
Here's
taking
your
the Chiefs,
Monday
but I
night.
don't love the game. That's a lot of points.
Here's your Monday night game. Browns at San Fran. I believe what happened this week is exactly how I called it with Cleveland. They will win one. They're going to go out. They're going to start off slow. They're going to win one here and there.
And then lose one.
And they're going to lose the rest of them. Because that's what's going to happen. I'm saying they're a 5-win team at best. I said 8. I gave them 8-8 at best. But you know what? I don't believe that anymore. 5-win team at best. I'm going to go San Fran at home. It's 3.5 points.
I like that. I have to say, not to jump on the bandwagon, but I like San Fran a lot. They're a very good home team. You're asking the Browns to go to the West Coast, different time, a little bit weird. Freddie Kitchens, the most overrated coach in the league. Mayfield, everybody's smelling themselves. I think this is a setup. I really like the Niners. I know you do too. I'd be surprised if you don't take the Niners.
I like the Niners as well. I do. I like the
So
Niners
last but not
because
least,
Let's talk about predictions.
The Cleveland Browns are an all right team, but did you hear that Odell Beckham got choked out by a Ravens player, and did you hear that he threw punches as well? So that just shows Odell Beckham the maturity.
No difference than
Odell,
he's
he's
fighting with Josh Norman
Odell
still.
Beckham is in 2 years will be the AB. He'll be out of the league. He'll just be out of control.
Will he be Vontaze Perfect?
Maybe.
Well, Vontaze Perfect, ironically,
Or the baby
doesn't
of-
say anything. He just completely.
So
goes
you're
nuts on
saying that in
people.
2 years he'll retire? He'll be out of the league?
No, I believe that Beckham will just get nutsier and nutsier. Like AB just got so crazy, that he's out of the league. I think Beckham will be such a distraction. He'll be out of the league, and I don't think anybody's going to want to touch him.
I think that
he'll be bounced around.
In 2 years, he'll be
Gettleman is a genius for trading.
Relax
that guy.
on that.
Okay,
one.
so let's talk about
Eagles,
predictions.
Jets.
Let's hear your prediction for Eagles Jets.
I'm just been scorned by the underdog bug because of last week. Because last week the underdogs did so well. I'm going to take the Eagles here I'm actually going to take them by 7. The Jets score a late touchdown to cover in this game. The score of this game, I see the Eagles offense the Jets defense is pretty good. They have Jamal Adams, CJ Mosley in the middle of that field. Tremaine Johnson, I think. They have some secondary players in Marcus May. I'm going to say the Eagles, it's 24-17, and it will be 24-10, but Darnold gets a late touchdown. 24-17, Eagles in control. The Eagles defense is going to be the key to this game because offensively, Wentz will struggle. Jordan Howard will not run the ball against Quinnen Williams in this Jets team. Plus, the Jets are off of a bye week where they've had a long time to prepare for this game. They've had a real nasty taste in their mouth. And if Sam Darnold plays, they're going to get a boost from Darnold playing. So I think this game won't be as easy as everyone's making it out to be, Bruce.
Yeah, this is my view. I believe that the Eagles are so woefully thin at corner. I mean, unbelievable. Orlando Skadrick can't run, okay? He's 32, can't run. Craig James, what do you expect of this guy? He's a practice squad guy. Rasul Douglas is slow. So I think the Jets are actually going to score 20 points in this game. And again, Le'Veon Bell is in the game,
and
right?
guess what? You're overlooking this Jets team.
No,
I think.
I'm not. No,
I think the Eagles could be. Certainly.
No. I believe the Eagles will score 31 points.
Wow.
I believe Alshon will be healthy. Goddard, they got their whole repertoire. They're going to be running, and they're going to roll. So 31-20, but a lot of people think the Jets can't score, but I think any team can score in the secondary because there's no players there. And I think that they're really in a very bad spot. They're lucky they have the Jets this week. And hopefully Jalen Mills or Avonte Maddox will be back in 2 weeks, or they're really going to be in trouble.
Bruce, is it possible that the Jets even have like a late lead in this game and it comes down to a field goal?
It's possible.
Game?
I've seen it. And look at the Eagles. The Eagles could be down 14-0.
They could come out like the Lions. They're very inconsistent.
Exactly. They could start off slow,
yeah.
But I think they're going to pound them in the second half. The Eagles are a second half team.
Right.
They're going to score 31-20. I like my number.
Okay.
Al, your pick.
Yeah, I agree they're going to score more points than people are going to let on, but I'm going to say it's 14 at most for the Jets, but it's going to be 34-14. I think it'll be close taking those points.
Right.
I think the secondary will be I think the secondary, that's where the 14 is going to come in. Maybe Le'Veon gets a touchdown. But I'm not worried about Le'Veon. I mean, the Eagles can stop premier running backs. And the Jets' offensive line isn't stopping, I don't think, stopping them at all. So I'm not really worried about Le'Veon Bell. I'm worried about the holes in the secondary giving up more points than anything. Ultimately, I think Carson Wentz is going to have one of the best games, on numbers-wise of his career. Because I actually think his best game was last week on Thursday night. He played his best game to date.
Because he actually had help from Doug Peterson.
But my point is, ultimately, they're going to put up a lot of points. The only thing that's going to keep the points from being even more is the fact that D-Jax isn't going to be in the game.
In closing, I want to mention a plug for our sponsor, Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. How many people out there have had sports injuries, nagging injuries, shoulder pain, knee pain? You're not getting any younger. How many of you are athletes? High school, college, pro. We have plenty of pros at Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. If you mention Rover Sports, you get a free consultation. All you got to do is call 610-222-5675. So again, you don't want surgery. You don't want opioids. You don't want anything bad. And PT and Cairo is great, but if you failed those modalities, it's time for PRP or your own stem cells, your own healing. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, 610-222-5675. And on that note, I want to say thanks for logging in. Thanks, Big Al. Thanks, Spencer G. And good night and good sports.